Not like I don't know you, you know?
She paid me like $1,000 to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shawn LeBlanc. I've been in the business for 20 years now. I've been at 5 different brokerages, so I've kind of seen what everybody has to offer. And let me tell you, Deerbrook is the absolute best, so everybody that's here can probably attest to that. I'm going to take you back about 20 years and tell you a little story about how I started in the business. I was a restaurant manager slash server slash bartender. I did everything you could do in a restaurant. And I honestly thought one day I would run my own restaurant and that would kind of be my future. And then I got introduced to Mark Eugenie. If anybody's ever met Mark Eugenie, he's the guy who could care less what he dresses like. He wears flip-flops and he sells about $1 billion in real estate. So Mark gave me my start. He said, okay, this is what you got to do. At the time, you just had to sign up for these AREA classes. You took your 3 classes, you wrote your test, which was open book at the time. So you bring your textbook in, you could cheat like hell, and you'd get your real estate license, and boom, you're a realtor. 20 years ago, there was no such thing as training. So I remember my broker manager would bring me into the office, and he said, here's how you get a listing. You look in the mirror every single day, and you just say, who do I know that wants to buy a house today? And then his advice was, you always have a roll of quarters in your pocket, so you could run to the payphone, and then you could call somebody. 20 years ago, the internet was not showing any MLS listings. We still had a book. We still had pagers. There were no cell phones. So it was very different with respect to how you sell real estate. Nowadays, your phone is pretty much your lifeline. You can do everything from your phone. The MLS book, most of you have never even heard of it. But 20 years ago, I started at Manor Realty. There was, like I said, there was no training. There was nothing. So I kind of spun my wheels, I want to say, for about 7-8 years. The most houses I ever sold, I think, were probably 13. And that was considered top producer. So if you sold basically about 5 houses, you were a top producer, you got a little trophy, and you were what they called successful. Now, at the time, 20 years ago, the average sale price was probably closer, for my deals, to about $50,000 to $60,000. So think about how many houses you had to sell to make about $100,000. You were moving a lot if you did really well. Fast forward to about 2008, the market absolutely went to shit, and most people were getting out of the business. I think, what do you think? We were about 1,500 pre-2008.
I think it was 1,000.
Yeah.
It was around 1,000.
And then there was a huge drop off. So if you could get through 2008, I would say to about 2012, you had gone through the leanest times in real estate period. Like there was just, nothing was moving. Listings were taking about a year to move. If you got a deal done, you could put a home inspection condition in, you do the home inspection, and you say, oh, well, there's a problem with the roof, we're gonna reduce the price by $3,000. Buyers had all the power, sellers had absolutely no power. Builders had no power. I remember doing a building deal and saying, we want 50 sheets of drywall in the basement and we'd like all these extra things done, and the builder would say, yeah, absolutely. We'll do whatever we can to sell this house. Today, ask the builder for an extra plug and they're like, yeah, for sure, we'll do that for $150. So things are very different back then than what it used to be. The turning point for my career, I met a guy called Dan Gemis. So Dan Gemis runs a little team out of Amherstburg. It's more of what you call a boutique brokerage. It's more of a team atmosphere. Now, it wasn't just Dan Gemis that helped me. It was Kathleen Black that was taking care of our coaching when we started. So coming in, I had been in the business for 8-9 years. I knew everything about real estate. I could write a deal. I thought I knew how to talk to everybody. I thought I knew how to do the job. Turns out I didn't know anything about real estate. Kathleen Black basically gave us the structure to understand how to take a lead and convert it into a client, and then convert that client into a sale. And there's a big process to that. Leaving Dan Gemis, I was there for 2 years. My second year, I sold 75 houses for him and grossed $750,000 in commissions. The downside to that was I was on a team where it heavily favored the team as far as your commission structure went. So of that $750,000 in commissions, I got 125 and Dan got the rest. So when you see his big shiny building downtown on Richmond, just know that I built the whole first floor for that place. From there, I went to LC Platinum. LC Platinum was a very enlightening experience just to see what, honestly, to put it bluntly, the bottom of the line brokerage gives you. And the answer is absolutely nothing. From there, I heard about a startup company called Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest brokerage in North America by offices. So I was like, this looks like something that could be big. It's going to grow in Windsor. It's going to be huge. 2 years of Keller Williams taught me training is more important than anything because they offer you as much training as humanly possible. So I was able to learn, I was able to teach, I was able to do a whole bunch of different things. But the brokerage grew by about 1% in that 2 years. So that led me to talk with Kelly and Jen. I'd known them for years. And they basically preached support, structure, and family atmosphere. Now, I also got sick and tired of being at a listing presentation saying, I work for Keller Williams. And almost every single time the people saying, I've never heard of them. Whereas now, you work at Deerbrook, every single person locally knows exactly who Deerbrook is. So that name carries a lot of weight. So what we're going to get into is basically going to be lead generation in 2024. So our presentation agenda is going to take us through why referrals matter in lead generation, maximizing lead gen by building a referral pipeline. And then once we have that pipeline, how do we create a more of a lead generation program? Things that you can do to kind of boost your numbers of people that you know. Tapping into referrals through online reviews, and then how we track and measure things, and then we'll come to a conclusion. If there's at any point, if someone has a question, everything I talk about is exactly how I run my business. So I'm not telling you stuff that I don't use. I'm only telling you the things that work for me and my business, and that have helped me to kind of become to where I am now. So in the last couple of years, I'm averaging about, I would say, 150 to 175 transactions per year. So it's a ton of business, and it's a lot coming at you, but it's very simple to kind of run those big numbers if you have structure and you know exactly what you're doing with each and every one of these people. I would say 95% of my business is strictly referral based right now. So I don't do any kind of online leads or online lead generation. If you have questions about online lead generation, I can answer everything for you. I spent about $65,000 on Curator in 2022 to try and take my business to like a whole other world. And let me tell you, it was like crash and burn. I might as well just lit that money on fire and never ever tried it again. Any questions before we get started? Good to go? Okay. So, lead generation, so foundation of success. For me, my job, which I always thought was, you find strangers that want to buy houses, you convert them into leads, and then you sell those people a house. So my day-to-day, I used to think, was I need to find people that are ready, able, and willing to buy a house right away. So it's totally changed for me. My goal every day is to meet somebody new, make an impression on them, and add them to my circle of people that I know. My job is to meet people and make friends. It has nothing to do with selling a house. My social media and my presence sets the stage for anybody that knows me to know that I sell houses. But I do not have to talk about it anymore because the relationship that you form with somebody is more important than selling them that you're a realtor. If they like you, if they trust you, that's the number one thing that they're going to do when they make a decision whether they're going to use you as a realtor. And if they don't disown them. I can't believe my brother-in-law used Andrew Smith to buy or sell this house. I've known the guy for 15 years. He's fucking dead to me. Well, let me tell you right now, you may lose that sale, but you have an opportunity to gain the other one on the back end if you treat that person with respect. Because sometimes you just never know. Sometimes family doesn't want to deal with you. Because let me tell you, it's very hard to fire your family member. And people don't want that stress. Because if you suck and you're not doing a good job and they fire you, now all of a sudden Thanksgiving dinner is going to get a little awkward. So never assume you're going to get a deal. If you don't get a deal, the number one thing you can do is kind of look in the mirror and say, okay, what could have done better to get that person to come back and use me in the future? So my most important lead resources, I would say, they come from referrals. And when I say they come from referrals, I'm building a circle of network of people that, one, know I'm a realtor, two, trust me as that realtor, and know that I'm going to be able to give solid advice anytime I talk to somebody. So referrals are going to be number one. Online ads would be things like you can run those through Facebook. So those would be boosted ads. Those are more clickbait ads. So if I have a listing, I want to pump this listing out. You need to pump it out in a sense where you're going to offer them something. Everybody can post a listing on Facebook, But when you post something with either open-ended questions or get people to engage, like if I post an open house ad, it's going to be like a giveaway. If you like and share this, we're going to give away a $100 gift card. And so when I look back, I can see all those people that shared it, and I can send each of those people an individual message that say, hey, I just want to say thank you for sharing my open house ad. And I hope you have a great day. Now, those people can all be kind of circulated back into my social media, but we'll get into the social media part a little bit later. So the only other thing really, we'll focus on community events a little bit later, but community events mean I'm going to get all the people I know, I'm going to bring them into one place, I'm going to hammer them with logos and different things, and I'm going to give them back something so that they just get to meet me and understand what I'm doing a little bit better. So Roxy and I, our team, we're about giving back. We want to be community leaders in the industry so that people see us as somebody that not only sells real estate, but we're also more geared towards the community. So our brand would be focused around giving back, and then we specialize in divorce because there's two of us. So everybody that I know that gets divorced, they come to me first. One, I've been through it. I'm very happily divorced. It was probably the best thing that ever happened in my entire life. If you're not divorced yet, trust me, the second time around is way better. But those are things like when we talk about branding, you want to gear yourself towards something very specific. And then you're an expert on that. So if somebody's getting divorced, I know the steps as far as you need a separation agreement in order to buy your next house. The emotions you're going to go through when you're going through said divorce, and then you can kind of tap into the rest and then build that trust with somebody like, hey, this guy's gone through it before. He knows exactly what I've got to do next, and he's going to be there to help me through the whole process. Two of us means I can represent the husband, Roxy can represent the wife, or vice versa if either one hates the other gender. So it helps us to kind of divide and conquer a little bit. Okay, why referrals matter the most? Referrals are easy. Referrals are free. Referrals are like the by far, if someone's referring you, they're referring you from a sense of, I trust this person, I know this person. How many people here have gone to buy a car, and before you go buy that car, you know the person that you're going to see because somebody else told you that guy, that's the guy you got to go see. Referrals are no different, but there's a way to kind of tap into those referrals to make them last a lot longer. So if somebody gets a referral, who gives that person a gift? Okay, now I'm going to be very upfront because Kelly told me this. Reba says you cannot upfront give somebody a monetary gift just for giving you a referral. So just so everybody knows, we can't do that. But there's ways around that. So letting that person know how thankful you are for what they just did is a big thing. But tracking it to understand who is pumping your tires the most is even more important. So for me, like I have a list of whoever gives me referrals and I track it in a spreadsheet. If somebody gives one, then they're tier one. If somebody gives two, then they start going up. If somebody's giving me 5 referrals, let me tell you, I'm taking that person for dinner. And then I'm going to work that person probably harder than I've worked anybody because that's somebody who's singing my praises more than anybody. So tracking who's giving you the referral is going to be one of the most important things. But after that, it's about taking care of them. Taking care of them because they're taking care of you. Let's put it this way, a $500,000 commission, we're talking about $12,500 in average commission, give or take, right? So for me to take that person out for dinner, which I'm going to write off, so if I spend $200-300 on a really, really nice dinner, is that small potatoes in comparison to what they've just given me as far as a real estate deal? Now, if they've given me a listing, now with that listing, I now have something I can market to the neighborhood. I now have something I can market on social media, and I now have something I can market to new buyers. So I'm going to use that listing to kind of generate a lot more things. The worst thing you can do with the listing, throw the sign on the ground, wait for somebody else to sell it, and not do anything else with that listing. If you really want to work a listing, you do what we call a neighborhood open house. So Thursday night, I'll hold an open house from 6 until 8, and I'm only inviting the people in the neighborhood. So it takes me about an hour. I go door to door with a flyer, and I'm letting everybody know that I'm opening up that neighborhood house just so the neighborhood can come meet me and understand what's happening with the house. When they come in, I'm going to have a marketing report specifically for that neighborhood. That's my CMA. So my CMA is going to have everything that's happening in that neighborhood so that when they come through, I'm not just trying to show off this house. Like I could care less about if anybody in the neighborhood buys the house. Maybe they've got somebody, maybe they don't. But what I want is to show them that I'm not just putting this sign in the ground and then waiting for somebody to come in. They're going to get a report that has all my information. I'm going to get their information. And then from there, I'm able to remarket and redo things later down the road. Does that make sense? And it's super easy. Okay. Cost effective. Yeah, obviously their referrals are mostly free. Introducing your entire, okay. So introducing my entire network to potential clients. So when somebody comes in, does anybody have categories for people on Facebook? Or is it just friend and that's it? Okay, did anybody know that you can create subcategories for every single person in your Facebook database? Okay, so if I go to, so if you guys want to jump, like open your phones really, really fast. And just open up Facebook and just click on the very first person that's in your Facebook. Okay, now where it says friends, in the check mark, you're going to click that friends, and then you're going to go edit friend list. Now there should be a couple that come up. I think it's what, close friends, acquaintances, are those the first two that come up? You can add as many subcategories as you want. So mine are agents to ask for referrals. I talk to a lot of agents from Toronto. I've been at seminars all over the place. And I want to know who is the person to refer if I have clients that are moving to Toronto or Ottawa, or they want to buy a cottage. And I can do that within Facebook if I'm not using a CRM. I have top 500 clients. I have family. I have people that I'm actually friends with. And then the other ones are realtors out of town, realtors in London, and realtors in Toronto. So the Keller Williams office, they had one in London, they had one in Toronto. They were a plethora of referrals for me, so I wanted to make sure I know who all those people were. The reason I do this is because when you pull up your Facebook feed, I can now click top 500 clients. And now my Facebook feed will only show me my top 500 clients. So instead of scrolling aimlessly for 15 to 20 minutes, I now comment on every single post I see because those are all clients of mine. So now I can directly engage through social media with only my clients, and I don't have to worry about just nonsense ruining my day. Does that make sense? Okay, so there's a little trick for Facebook. And it works really well because now when you add somebody, you add them into a specific category, and then if I want to talk to those specific people, I control my audience. I don't have to let Facebook decide who I'm going to talk to and who's interesting. I now have the choice to do it myself. Okay, so nurturing, who has a CRM? So for those of you who didn't raise your hand, how do you track who's a client or who's bought a house or who's done anything before? Shane, how do you do it?
Memory. And I call Carrie and I say, give me my...
Past sales list?
Now.
Yeah, these are all the houses I've sold? Okay. How do you track them? Same thing? Okay. So how do you get reminders on how to stay in contact with people? No system, right? Okay, so...
I want to say something if you just
Yeah.
remind. Just so you know, guys, you have the CRM included. So anyone who belongs to Deerbrook, you do have exact CRM. So you should call us to let us set you up on that. You know me. It's free.
Yeah. So if you don't want to use the free one, so CRM is basically your database of all the people you've ever dealt with. So this is names, numbers, emails, property addresses, like you name it. The CRM could be everything. This is your Bible. This is what's showing you, like, I haven't talked to Susie and Jim in a year. Or Jim and Tom just bought a house a year ago. These create like automatic blueprints for you to stay in contact with the people that have taken care of you the best. You can go into extreme depth with your CRM where you can send, like our CRM sends birthday emails automatically. We change the birthday message every year. So January 1st, we get a reminder, change your birthday email. It also helps us, we send out cards. So I send out cards every 120 days to everybody that's ever bought a house with me. The cards are personalized, they have my name on it, they have my information, and then inside I used to do it by hand by myself, now I just pay somebody. I pay somebody, they go through my cards, it comes up every week, 7 cards go out. So every month, 7 people get a handwritten card, and we just decide at the beginning of the week, this is what we're going to say. Hopefully you're looking forward to Halloween, or hopefully you don't mind the weather changing too much, whatever it is. And then they send those out. So now every 120 days, everybody that's ever dealt with me gets a handwritten card, and then they're going to get a birthday reminder. They get a monthly marketing report where I tell them what the value of their house is. And then we invite them to 2 community events every single year. So we do one at Halloween and we do one at Easter. And then on top of that, for people that are active, I send them a monthly market report for their neighborhood. So once a month, whatever house they're looking for, if they're a buyer, I do a 30-day CMA on everything that's sold. So if Jim and Susie are looking in South Windsor, and this is the price point they're looking for, I have a reminder in my phone and on Follow Up Boss. Every 30 days, do a quick marketing report, and it's easy. South Windsor, price range, sold, 30 days, custom CMA, email, done. Takes me 5 minutes. Everybody gets that. If it's a seller, same thing. This is their area, this is what's sold in their area, and then they get that sent.
Are you doing this yourself?
Oh yeah,
This
is like once a month. Once a month I'm in the office probably for like 3-4 hours.
You mentioned you sold 175 last year.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of those were condos, I'll be honest. I was in the new construction condo business for a long time, so a lot of those people are investors, so you don't have to touch those people as much. But yeah, my card list is huge. But really, like I think I printed 5,000 cards, and it cost me maybe $1,000. So I've got cards for days. And if you don't want custom cards, then go to the dollar store, or go on Vistaprint or something. Like it doesn't have to be anything special. It just has to be something. And I think that's what most people don't understand. You just have to do something to stay in touch. I hate picking up the phone and calling an old client and just saying, hey, just reminding you I'm still in real estate. What's happening with so-and-so? Like, people will harp on that. You got to make your 30-day calls or your 60-day call or your 90-day calls. I hate it. I hate every part of it. It makes me uncomfortable. And people say the things that make you uncomfortable, and if you do those will make you the most successful. Well, fuck all that. Like, no, I'm not making those calls. Now, organically, I will have conversations with those people via social media, whether they're responding to a story or I'm responding, I can't believe so-and-so's this big, or whatever it is, because those are easy. Those are what we call passive touches. So direct touch would be phone call, indirect touch would be mail, Facebook, inviting them to a client event, just anything you can do to touch, right? Touch. But you got to find what works for you to stay relevant. Because in 20 years in the business, I now have clients' kids that are calling me that want to go look for houses. And then their grandparents or their parents are starting to get older and they want to downsize. So after 20 years, it now becomes generational. 20 years ago, it was so-and-so's looking for their first house, their budget is absolute dog shit, and I have nothing else going on, so I will take every ounce of business I can get. Now you can be a little bit more selective with what you get. So if I don't have time for a certain thing, then I have people that I can kind of refer these to that I trust to kind of handle some of the lower end stuff. But let me tell you, like, it's still fun to go around with somebody and, look at, you haven't gone and looked at what $300,000 buys you these days. It's pretty interesting. It's very interesting. Back to referral rewards. If anybody sends me a referral, I take them out for dinner. I don't buy them a gift. I take them out for dinner. If somebody buys a house from me, my long-lasting gift is we got these simple modern cups. They're probably very similar to what's at the back. We found an engraver that will etch our logo in it for $25. So for $50, I've now given them something that they'll keep in their cupboard forever. We've done coffee mugs before. The coffee mug said, my coffee is not as hot as my realtor. And then it had my logo on it. I sent out 100 of those. So a gift card is great, but something that they'll keep in their cupboard lasts even longer. Every time I have a party, I use my Deerbrook charcuterie board. Has the Deerbrook logo on it. Every time I open that, I remember that Kelly gave me that as a little gift. So think about these things as things they're going to hold on to and things that they're going to see and remember that you gave them. Because if it's, a gift card's great, but that's a one-time purchase that they're going to use, and then they're probably never going to remember that ever again. So my referrals, I take them out for dinner, and then anybody who buys something from me gets a cup, and they get a gift card as well. Client appreciation events, this is something that we've grown a lot. We do our Easter event right outside here. So we do it at Optimist Park. Last year we had 600 people. Of the 600 people, I didn't know 300 of them. So we do our event through Eventbrite. So Eventbrite basically gives a link for people to sign up and buy tickets. To buy their ticket, they have to put their name, they have to put their phone number, and they have to put their email address. From Eventbrite, I can export all those contacts. I can put them into my CRM. And then from there, I can tag them Easter 2023. And now if I'm doing another event, I can just hit email, tags, Easter 2023, and send all those people another event invite. You're now VIPs. You want a VIP invite to our new event? We'd love to see you again. And those are people I would never normally have ever talked to ever again. But now they're in my database. So a couple different clicks, and now all of a sudden we're friends again. And they've got something else for me. You're special. You're getting a VIP invite to an event again. The other event is a Halloween party we do. Yeah, Cal?
I have a question on that.
Yep.
When you have an event that is that large, how do you get all their contact info? How do you
So that all runs through Eventbrite.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you sign up for Eventbrite, you create your event. They have to buy tickets to come to the event. So adult tickets, child tickets. And then from there, I have all their info.
So they can't just show up.
They can't just show up. They have to have, and it's not, we started doing the Easter event public because we want it to be huge. We want thousands of people to be there. So, but with more people becomes more responsibility. Now I need insurance. I need to go to the city and I need to get an actual, whatever it is. I have to get a license. There you go. Because the second year we did it, we had about 400 people and I had no license. I had no insurance. And then we were looking around, we're like, holy shit, there's a lot of people here. If this kid falls off the equipment, like we're in big trouble. The Halloween event's a little bit smaller. We do it at the Montessori in Amherstburg. And it's very simple, like come here, dress in your costumes. Each kid's gonna get a bag of candy. There's gonna be some games that they can play, and then they can put in tickets to win something. Everybody that comes to all of our events, we have to bring a non-perishable food item. So your admittance, you just bring non-perishables, then we take all that food and we donate it back to the local food bank. So now we're community, we're giving something back, and I've also got a great way to take a whole bunch of new people's names and throw them into my CRM. I don't care if they're buying in 1 year, 10 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter. I can now portray this to everybody around that this is how we give back, this is what we do for the community, and this is why you should use me, whenever the time comes. Does that make sense? Is anyone doing community events right now or anything, or any client appreciation?